Hi guys, welcome to the explanation for PT54 Game 4. It's a Game 4, so we expect it to be a little on the harder side. It is because it's got some weird wrinkles, but in reality it's pretty much a straight up basic ordering game. The one weird wrinkle is this accepted bid thing that I know a lot of people had some trouble with. On games, it's common that you'll face just one little situation that's a bit outside of your usual experience, and how you handle that is really telling about your ability to master games. And what I will say, there's one general theme to these, is that the important thing is merely that you find a way to cement it in your memory. You know, it's your memory that's going to help get you through things. The more strongly you can identify with a certain rule, the better you're going to do. So we'll look at that in the context of this game and this accepted bid. Okay, so here we got 6 bids: H, J, K, R, S, and T. And I've laid out our 6 spots where we're going to put them. Here we're talking about bids going from lowest to highest. So they review 6 contract bids, exactly one is accepted, and until you start reading the rules, it's not really clear that they're ordering them. So that's another slightly difficult thing. But oftentimes you want to glance ahead at the acceptability question, and that can give you some clues as to what's going on. And here in question 18, they do just that. They say, okay, here could be an accurate list of the bids from lowest to highest. That gives you a look at what you're doing. That plus the rules. You want to look in all those 3 places: the rules, the first part of the prompt, and the acceptability question. And you can always, from that, get a handle on what's going on. So we're going to mark this as the low end, and this is where the highest bids are. And now we get this random thing, and we're not quite sure what to make of it yet. We're told that the accepted bid is either the second or third. So anytime there's something sort of strange, like this rule, I'll put it in a circle. It just kind of makes it in my head that this is somehow different. And we know that this is either K or R. So there's going to have to be a K or an R in spots 2 or 3. And we don't know what's happening quite yet, but that's a lot of information. Just try to identify with it strongly in your memory. Drawing this nice big representation of it in your main diagram is going to help with that. Okay, next rule. H is lower in cost than each of J and K. Nothing unusual here. Straight up sequencing rule like we might see anywhere. Now things get a little trickier. We got a conditional rule related to sequencing. If J is 4th, then we're going to see J lower than S and T. If you wanted to do the contrapositive of that, it would be S, T, and then J not 4. And then our next rule here is that if J is not 4, this tells us more about what happens if J is not 4. Then we're going to see S, T, J. And then the reverse of that is J, S, T. This is the contrapositive again. Then J is in 4. So the totality of these 4 rules mean that there's only 2 things you're going to see on this board. And I think it's important to get a grasp on that. If we see J, we can either see a JST order with J in 4th and then ST behind it, or we don't see that, J is somewhere else, and then S and T are going to go in front of it. We don't know where, exactly. Okay, last rule, RS is the 5th lowest in cost, so RS. And that actually means that if J's in 4, this is going to have to be S. So you just have that one order of J's in 4 that's possible, JST. And then it's worth noting K would then be the one that's going in 2 or 3 as your accepted bid. So it just gives you some ideas about what's going on here. But there's no other inferences we can make that are worth putting straight into the board. Just keep those possible scenarios with JST in mind. Okay, so for question 18, we get the acceptability question. I'll just write the one that's the right answer in here, and we can look at it. HTK, S, R, and then J. And here we see the STJ. Sorry, I should change that. And here we see the STJ order because J is not fourth, right? J not fourth, then STJ, and vice versa. Notice that this and this are saying the reverse of each other. K is the accepted bid. That's great. It's in third. And then we have the HKJ order. Everything checks out. This works. However, normally when you do an acceptability question, this is no exception. Just take your rules one at a time and see where they're violated. Okay, for 19, we got to figure out which cannot be the fourth lowest in cost. So we're looking at this spot here. I'm going to do it out, but I think you can probably do this work in your head. H in 4 already looks suspicious because then J and K are right behind it. You know, we don't know the order yet, but that won't work because RS is taking up one of those spots. So A right away is something that cannot be true. You can't have H in 4th. It's an early question in the game. It's easy. We expect it to be easy, and sure enough, it is. Okay, now we got to figure out which cannot be the second lowest in cost. So I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, well, AH, that doesn't look like it's going to be much of a problem, right? You got room for the J and the K. You could have, say, J, S, T, have the K here for the accepted bid, and then whatever that last variable is, that's going in here. Looks like it's R. R is pretty free, actually. Once you've nailed down S in this spot, it could be basically wherever. So we got to eliminate A here. And I wouldn't have maybe even looked at that all the way out fully because J is popping up here. And J in 2 seems like it's going to be a big problem. Not J 4th, right? Then we have STJ, and there's no room for that. You'd have one of them hanging off the front. Remember, J, S, T, both have to be in front of J. So B cannot be the second lowest in order J. J cannot be the second lowest in order. Okay, next we know R is the accepted bid. So R is going in here, and I want you to see immediately that that leads to the inference that S is back here, right? So now there's only 2 options for where J can go. It could either be here or it could be here. I'm not sure if that's the right line of thinking yet, but if R is the accepted bid, what must be true? I made this inference that S has to be 5th. Let's see if that answers the question. I scanned down through the answer choices, and there it is. Not too hard here for question 21. Okay, 22. Which of the following must be true? I think here there's nothing much you can do besides just start trying these out. So normally you'd be maybe doing it in a mini diagram off to the side. I'm just using the green pencil so you can tell that that's work specific to the questions. So H lower in cost than S, does that have to be true? Why don't we just try putting S right here, you know? And then we can have R in here. We'll have K here. K here. H here, J here, and we can have T here. And everything works out just fine there. We got S, T, J. J's not in 4th, so we're working with that order. We've got the accepted bid. Everything works. So we got to cross off A. And that actually helped us cross off B as well because we could do exactly what we just did there with T. Let's just make T the lowest, right? And then we can have K, H, S here, J here, so we got the JST thing right, and then we're just all good, right? R is going in here. Again, this is just testing your speed at doing acceptable scenarios, which is a key skill in games, making scenarios to see whether they're acceptable or not. How about K lower in cost than J? Does that have to be true? Well, it's starting to look pretty hard to make K higher in cost than J. If you have JST, there's no way to do it, right? There's certainly no place to put K in over here. So we could try it with the other order. Remember, we're testing if this must be true. So we're trying to put an order in where J is below K. If we can do this, then this isn't something that has to be true. And even looking at trying to do that just starts to look really impossible. Okay, so we know we need to be in this order right here. So we try and make this R, maybe get T and S in right away. Well then, now what happens? We can't really get that K in. So we get this K here, we get the H here, and then bam, there's no way to get the J in before the K, right? So really tricky. You might want to just proceed by elimination here too. You know, C looks really hard, so then you could flip to D and E and see if those are doable. And that's another way to attack this question. Okay, 23 is actually a little easier. I think 22 is the real doozy here. So R is lowest in cost, so then you know this is S. And it's asking which of the following could be false. So J highest in cost. Well, let's try this order. JST, does this work? Then we just put H and then K here, and everything works out fine. This is an acceptable order. So it could be false that R is lowest in cost and J is highest in cost. That could be false, and A is our right answer. Okay, so that's the game. Only one really tough question. I think the important elements were getting this K and R thing cemented in your head, and then realizing what all this meant. What it basically meant is that there's two orders you can see on the board. You can either see the JST in 4, 5, and 6, or you can see the J somewhere else, and then the S and the T are going to be in front of the J. Okay, that's the game. Thanks for being with us. Catch you on the next one.